and I have been working at the Thames Library, the Thames Coromandel Library, for 7 years now as a children and youth librarian. And currently, before that, had done early childhood all the way through to like hospitality. So lots of customer based and children work. But was very lucky to get this role about 7 years ago. And have been coming up with lots of cool things since.
Hi everyone, I'm Amy. I've worked at the library for coming up 4 years. Prior to being at the library, I was a real estate agent, so something completely different, but worked with people all the time through that as well. I joined the library after coming off maternity leave from my second daughter. Something a bit different. Real estate just got a bit hard with constant weekend work and everything with two young children. And I haven't looked back since. I'm the community engagement librarian here in Thames. And obviously, me and Shori work quite closely together on different activities and things like that. But we'll get straight into our talk about escape rooms and our holiday programs. So I'll just share the screen and we'll start off with the PowerPoint. Okay, so we're going to run you through both, obviously, our library escape rooms and our school holiday programs, how we create them, how we manage them, and what we've learned along the way. For us, like many other libraries, we began by running traditional school holiday programs just during holidays. They were always well received, but also fully booked. We started to think about what more we could offer is in our area, there isn't a huge amount for children and families to do over the holidays. Traveling out of town for activities can quickly become expensive and unrealistic for many. We wanted to find additional ways to create engaging and affordable experiences right here in our own community, something that would give families a reason to come through our doors and feel excited about what the library could offer. That's where the ideas began. We're going to start by giving a brief overview of our holiday programs, and then we'll dive into more detail on escape rooms, from creating them to running them, how they started, and now what they look like after a couple of years of them. So our holiday programs started quite small. We originally took bookings for up to 16 children, and quite often those spaces would quickly fill. It was fantastic to see the interest, but it also meant that children were missing out, and we didn't like having to turn the families away. We knew the meeting room we were using simply wasn't big enough to safely accommodate more. After a few discussions between ourselves and with our manager, we asked, why not use the public space in the library? We have large tables in the centre of the library that are usually used for laptops and study, but we decided that if we used them for an hour or so during the day, other patrons could make use of the alternative spaces around the library. By doing this, it meant we could remove bookings altogether. The change was immediate. Numbers increased to around 25 to 30 children in the first school holidays after the switch, and it was incredible to see that many children engaged, creating and enjoying themselves in the middle of the library. Fast forward to now, and some days we see up to 60 children participating in each program. It's amazing, but also comes with challenges, particularly around choosing suitable activities and ensuring we have enough resources for everyone. We run our holiday program crafts alongside our escape rooms, which means juggling participants in the escape room while also being available to support the craft tables. It takes coordination and teamwork, but it does work. To keep costs manageable, we're intentional about materials we use, and we often collect recyclable and natural items, plastic bottles, cardboard, shells, leaves, and combine them with affordable staples like popsicle sticks, paper cups, card, glue, scissors, pens, and paper. We try to choose activities that use easy to source, lower cost materials with only the occasional higher cost item factored in for such large volumes that we're now getting. Over time, we've refined how we run things. Our holiday program typically runs from 10:30 to 11:30 on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday during each week of the school holidays. and we don't put any of our craft materials out until 10:30, so it's fair for everyone arriving at the advertised start time. This consistency also helps other library patrons so they know the library will be busier and a bit noisier and can plan their visits accordingly. When planning the holiday activities, the majority of the time we try to start with a theme and then build crafts around that. Although sometimes, if there's crafts that we know we want to do, we might be a little bit more generic, such as Easter school holidays or something like that. As we've grown, we've continued adapting and adjusting our setup materials and structure to suit the increasing numbers. And it's been incredibly rewarding to see how much it's brought families into the library. So on the screen's just a few of the different activities that we've done before. And then also in the top left corner, you can see it ends up quite packed within the middle of the library. But yeah, that's just a few different things that we've done over the past couple of years.
All right, escape rooms. So our escape rooms actually began as one of those why not ideas. We love the concept ourselves. We love doing escape rooms. And we thought we could turn our meeting room that we repurposed since we weren't running holiday programs in that space anymore into something immersive and exciting. We had no formal experience in designing escape rooms, and we won't pretend it was always easy. There are plenty of trials and errors, puzzles that completely flopped, and clues that made sense only to us. And lots of problem solving behind the scenes, but we kept refining and learning and improving. Well, hopefully. We found what was bigger than expected. More people started coming through the doors, families who had never visited the library before. They came for the escape rooms, all the holiday programs, and discovered everything else we had to offer. We saw new memberships, new faces at regular events, and people returning not just for membership, not just during the school holidays, but throughout the year as well. What started as a fun experiment became a powerful way to connect our community to our library. It became a bridge between learning and play, between what people think libraries are and what they can be. It used to be that as soon as an escape room finished, we'd look at each other and say, never again. But seeing the joy and excitement it brought to so many families meant we always ended up doing it again and again. Now, as crazy as it sounds, we're usually halfway through one escape room and already planning the next. When the children start asking, what's next? We throw out an idea, and once we've said it out loud, we can't take it back. At that point, there's no changing our minds, and no matter how hard it seems, we just have to make it happen. They're a bit of a roller coaster, but as they've shown us, that libraries can be a place of adventure, creativity, and belonging where everyone, regardless of background or budget, can take part in something meaningful. So if you're wondering whether it's worth the effort, we promise you it is. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to be willing to try something new. We will explain and show in more detail the steps of running an escape room. Okay, so first, what sort of space you might need for an escape room. We have a meeting room, as I've said before, and it's about 20 square meters, and that works really well for us for escape rooms. It has sliding doors at the entrance and a second door opposite, which has a combination lock on it. So one of our most useful features too is that there is a camera in the room, and so it means we can monitor the space from where we sit in our office. It allows us to check in on the group's progress, and if they ask for a clue or are close to running out of time, we can see exactly what they've already solved and guide them without giving away too much detail. It also helps to ensure safety of the room while it is in use. If your library doesn't have a dedicated room or space is too large for an escape room setup, we can still make it work, or you can still make it work. One simple solution is to use partitions. to block off a smaller controlled space within the area. This is easy to do, and many libraries have, all community rooms have space dividers that you can use. You can then use a padlock or a chain across the entrance as like the partitioned area to escape point, which means teams will then need to unlock that as part of the game. If you don't have an access to a surveillance camera, there are still ways to keep eyes on the space. A video baby monitor can be hung in the space for easy monitoring. And if you have access to Wi-Fi, a basic home security camera can also do the job. Alternatively, just leaving a small viewing gap between partitions or using a window can work as well. The goal is to always to be able to check in and offer help if needed to make sure that everyone is safe.
Okay, so then next, once you've got your space, it comes to planning the themes and the storylines for your room. Things to think about when deciding on a theme. It's really important to start with a strong theme that naturally supports a storyline. The people doing the room should know what their goal is and what they're looking for, or what they're solving or trying to escape. Think about your target age group first. For younger children, familiar characters from books or TV shows work really well. For older kids, teens, or adults, you might consider historical events or something a bit more spooky. The more relatable or familiar the setting, the quicker teams can engage with what they're doing. If they don't need to learn a whole new world first, they can jump right into solving the puzzles. A couple of themes that we've used in the past that were really successful and had clear storylines were Dr. Seuss, where Thing 1 and Thing 2 had stolen the Cat in the Hat's iconic hat. Kids had to solve a series of clues hidden around the room to find the hat and escape. Another one was based on SpongeBob. In this room, Plankton had stolen and hidden the Krabby Patty formula in the chum bucket. They had to find it and then use ingredients to make a Krabby Patty and unlock Mr. Krabs' safe. Once they returned the recipe, he gave them the final code to escape. Both of these worked because they had familiar characters and a clear storyline and the end outcome to work towards. In advertising, we used things like Under the Sea for SpongeBob, so we didn't breach copyright. And although we made characters that looked the same, they weren't identical either. Next, once you've got your theme, you need to decide on the flow of the room and think about how many things you want to have locked away. So when planning, the best place to start is at the end. How do they get out of the room? Is there a final key that unlocks a door or padlock? Is there a code they have to solve to escape? Once you know that, you can work backwards to design the clues that lead to the final solution. You'll also want to think about the storyline again at this point for details to match. The story will help guide your clue types and the flow. Then decide, do the clues need to be found in specific order? It's easier to control the flow and harder to accidentally solve things early, or can clues be found in any order? It gives more freedom and works better for larger groups, but it can be harder to manage the difficulty level. Once you've decided on the goal and the flow, the next step is to figure out how many clues you want them to solve. Not everything needs to be locked away, but having some items hidden behind a puzzle, lock, or task adds time for having to find clues for locks. You want a good mix of easy wins and harder challenges. Here are some ideas that we've used. Place a photo of a locked object in the room and write a code on the photo. Use a key with a small sticker on it and place the same sticker on the padlock or the box that it opens. Hide a code somewhere in the room that unlocks a number lock. Or create a clue book that shows images of locked items or shows where codes are hidden. This works especially well for younger kids or if there are lots of things to solve. And don't forget about decoys. Locks or boxes with nothing inside or that they just can't open. These throw people off just enough to make it feel a little bit more challenging. So after you've come up with all of this, you've then got to start to think about decorating the room. Decorating is the easiest way to set the mood and immerse them into your escape room, and it doesn't have to be expensive. A great starting point is to look at birthday party decorations that match your theme. There's heaps of fun decoration ideas already out there. Before you start decorating, it helps to draw a rough plan of how you want the room to look. Think about the bigger props and where the clues and the locked items will be. Then identify the main visual elements of your storyline. Use visuals to reinforce that theme. Some easy and budget friendly materials to work with are plastic tablecloths. These are fantastic for covering walls, windows, doors, or tables. And they're cheap and come in lots of colours and are easy to hang up with either tape or blue tack. Brown paper. This is great for adding bulk or texture. For example, crumpling it under a tablecloth to create a rock or cave effect. You can also use items from home or the op shop to add more atmosphere. The goal is to create just enough of a setting that the players feel like they're stepping into the world of the story.
So once you've thought about how you might decorate your room, we then will focus on prop making to help enforce the storyline of like the theme that we're going with. So we've got some great photos up on the screen, but I'll just chat a little bit about what we do with our prop making. So we start by figuring out which props are essential. So you have to ask yourself, is this prop needed to solve a clue, or is it part of a storyline, or is it just there to make the room look cool and add to your theme? Prioritize the ones that are actually needed to move forward in the room. Once you know what you need, think about how you'll get them. Can you build it from scratch, or can you source it from somewhere? We use secondhand shops, and they're a great place to look. And sometimes they're also willing to donate items if you explain what it's for. And often we donate the items back to them once the room is finished. You can also reach out to other staff and who might have things at home as well. For anything that needs to be a bit more durable, like a puzzle board, a bridge, or doors, or even half a boat, you might need to ask around and find someone handy with building who can help build it. We are quite lucky in our team, as we have staff members that kind of do all of those things for us, which we understand not everyone does. Men's Shed is also a great place if you have them in your local community as well. So for handmade props, so ones that we've made, as you can see some of the pictures on the screen, these are especially things that look like rocks or certain characters or even food items, then we use paper clay, which is a great option, and it is also really durable. When we use the paper clay, we start by shaping the item first, like using lightweight materials, so either a tin foil or a box, newspaper, masking tape, and these give you a lightweight and easy mold-based structure. We then cover it with a layer of the paper clay. There's also the recipe on screen, but you can ask us afterwards if you'd like us to email you the exact recipe. And also once it's dry, which can take a couple of days, you can then add another layer if you think it's not strong enough, or you can then paint it. So we just use craft paint and add the details to make it sort of look a little bit more realistic. You can see what the characters look like in the movie or cartoons, the ones that you're copying, and see to try and make it look as close to as possible. Sometimes you might need to adjust the colors depending on what you've initially done. So yeah, then we've got setting up the room and testing it. So we have now got props, we've got some designs about what we think we might want to do, and everything ready in the room. So when it comes time to set up your escape room, it's easiest to take everything into the room first, so you then have all your materials on hand. We start by covering doors, windows, or walls that need to be hidden or decorated. This sets the base of your theme visually. Next, hang up any of the props that need suspending. It's easy if you do this before the room starts to fill up with furniture or clues. And then you place your larger props or furniture and build the scene from there. Lastly, you want to add all the locked items, small props, and clues, and this helps just avoid losing them accidentally or putting them in the wrong place. Once everything is set up, you do a walkthrough yourself. So we make sure that there's a clear clue for every lock or code and nothing is missing. This is a good time where we get staff to test out the room for us. And we generally try and get a couple of different varied age groups. We always get our library staff to test it first, and then we pull in a team of maybe some family kids or council teams, and our local council have fun every time to test and see who can do it the fastest. So that's really important to get the different teams to test it, because some people solve puzzles really quickly while others may need clues, and it helps us fine tune the difficulty and adjust the clues in case it's confusing or unclear.
Cool. Thank you for listening to us. I know there's a lot we've been through. So if you do have any questions, you can ask us after, or feel free to send us an email and we'll do our best to answer them. But we hope you've come away with a bit of inspiration or ideas to try in your own libraries as well. Cool. Thank you.
That was amazing, both of you. Thank you so much. There's so much information in there. I've popped, oh, look at the claps and praise coming through. Well done. And the love hearts, definitely, especially today. That's lovely. Look, I did ask our 40 participants who are here in our virtual room if there were any questions. So what I might do is just work through these, and everyone else feel free to pop them in, because we've allowed lots of time for this. So the first question from Melanie, looks great, guys. Do you use puzzles or just codes for the locks?
We've done a mixture of both. So some we have literally had puzzles that we've then written a clue on. So they've got to make a little mini puzzle. Others we've had codes hidden around the room, but it really comes on trying not to repeat anything too much, but not making it too difficult for ourselves to make so many, just because you do get repeat people. But yeah, definitely a bit of both there to just give a bit of variance.
I think making some clues a little more obvious, but then making some clues a little more tricky to find. It seems to keep the age groups entertained enough, so the younger kids feel like they're helping and finding things, but it's not going to be too difficult for them to then escape too quickly.
Can you just refresh us, what are the age ranges for the sessions?
So generally we say school age and up, but if they are younger, especially with some of our escape rooms, like the SpongeBob one was a wee bit more difficult, we generally say if they're under 10, they have to have an adult accompany them, just because there is some stuff they have to read. But yeah, school age and up, really.
It's sort of becomes a family affair, because we do have some competitive parents as well. So it's great to get to see everyone do it and be excited to do it too, not just the kids.
Nice. Great. Now, if I don't do credit to your question, please feel free to take yourself off mic and expand on what I've read out. We've got Joanna saying, would you be able to send through one example, like step by step? Joanna, do you want to talk any more to that? Like, is there one specific example you were wanting?
Sorry, just triggered to unmute myself. Yeah, hi guys. I was just wondering, like, if you could send an example a little bit like step by step, just so we can kind of like do something similar, because it's a little bit confusing when you don't know where to start, and when you do, like, it will be like really good to have one example basically.
Yep, so we can definitely do that. We have previously lent a number of our escape rooms, the props and the storyline to some neighbouring libraries around here. But if you just send us an email, so we've got all your contact details, and then we can send you through more detail on a couple of the escape rooms and sort of step by step of what the clues were, the storyline, and how people got out, and then you can ask us any more questions from there as well if you like.
Okay, thank you.
That's lovely. Lisa's also extended on that question, saying that would be amazing, more of an indication of the flow of clues. So you might want, I think you're going to have your inboxes bombarded. I can just about see a wee LIANZA community on escape rooms.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want to recreate the wheel, right? It's good to share resources and information.
So true. So true. Heather's asking, how do you schedule?
So that's one thing that has changed quite a bit since we first started, which our first escape room, we literally had a pen and paper at our front desk that if people called or came in, we had to write it down, which then became a bit tricky if you got an email and you weren't in the library. So we then went to having a Google Doc that all of us could access, just with the days and times. So it had time slots. We'd ask people for their name, how many people were doing it, and a contact phone number or email address. So that's been the latest way we're doing it, but we are currently exploring a new program that I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's more of an online booking system. So I think it's like Humanitex or something like that. It's free to use, and you can make a template. So all our staff can access it, but people can book themselves online as well. So we're hoping to have that up and running for our coming up escape room in these school holidays. But yeah, Google Docs is definitely a great way to do it, just with that all staff can access anywhere that they've got their computers.
It's brilliant. I think I heard Waimakariri libraries are using Humanitex as well. Yeah. Might be a few libraries moving. So if you have experience with that platform and want to contribute in this hui too, feel free to share or put your hand up or chuck a question in that you can answer. We've got a question from Kirsty saying, how many staff helped create the rooms?
So we're a very small staffed library. There's only 5 permanent staff in the Thames branch. So Amy and I are the main creators, inventors, but we do have shout out to our great manager, Shana Allan. She's our builder. So she creates what we talked about, the bridge and the half boat. So there's a very small, so essentially about 2 to 3 at the most. We work on it as well as doing our regular library job. It can mean sort of skipping a few lunch breaks to make sure it gets completed. But we have figured out we can manage doing everything, as well as getting everything ready for the holiday program. It doesn't take a huge amount of people if you kind of know what you're doing in some sense of, a little bit of program planning.
We've sort of worked it. We work well together in the fact Shori does a lot more of the hands-on creating with making all the props. That's not my area of expertise.
Look, here we go.
We've got plankton. That's one from our SpongeBob. And then I do more of like the computer side of stuff or the clues and that need to go in the room. So it works quite well for us having both slightly different skill sets as well. But yeah, just us really.
Have you ever had any volunteers offer to support in any part of it?
So generally through when the program's running, we have families that do help out with guiding. So grandparents generally are helping a little bit with running the program. So kids who need a little bit of extra help. while we run the escape room. So yeah, that's kind of where we get the help from when we've got both going at the same time.
Right. And what about with the craft making, like what is it, the Duke of Edinburgh? No, that's the old name for it. Any community service awards for helping with kids helping?
Not in our area.
No.
We've had someone in the library helping, but more with shelving books and things like
Right.
that. With the programs, it is literally just us.
Wow.
Yeah, like Shori said, we're a very small team. We've got our manager and then two other front desk staff, we call them. We've got no self-service in our library, so they're pretty busy doing that. So really it's just us. And when you come up with an idea, it's sometimes hard to tell someone what you want them to do. We draw our plans out and people come into our office and look at them and like, what is on your desk? Like they just don't get it.
I was looking for a superhero emoji while you were saying you do all that. It's amazing. We've got a question from Michaela. How long do you take to set up an escape room from concept to completion?
That's a tricky one. The actual setup, once we've got everything made, we generally block out a day to set up the room. But the making it is, tricky. Because like we say, we come up with an idea while we're running the previous escape room. And then we sort of just slowly work on it over that term. So like this one we've been working on for a while, but I wouldn't be able to put into exact hours how long it's taken us.
And I suppose each time different theme, you might be able to reuse some things possibly from a year or so before and cut a few corners
That's right.
as you build up.
We repurpose different props and if you've had sort of SpongeBob, or then if you want to do a different sort of under the sea one, then you've got few of those things. We did Dr. Seuss and we had some fish, so they can go in. So there is definitely crossovers so that you don't have to try and remake things. And also once you collect a few sort of lock boxes, then you've got them for next time as well. So it does, the initial one, can cost a little bit to sort of initially get set up, but once you've kind of got on a roll or have a few things, then it's a lot easier for the next one.
Sure. Oh, no, that's great. I'm just now, so we've got a few admin questions from Melanie. She's saying, is it free? How many groups do you have through? Do you have age restrictions? How many people per group? So let's start with, is it free?
Yes, it is free. We do have like a donation box, which goes towards more props and stuff, but there's no pressure to put anything in there. It's all completely free. I'll just continue answering the questions. In regards to how many groups do we have through? It does vary. So we did one over the summer where we had it open a bit extra. But generally over the 2-week school holidays, we have it open for 10 days, so Monday through Friday, and around 9 groups a day. Although if we're fully booked, sometimes we just give up our lunch and sit at our desk so we can get more groups through. So we generally see, I think, sort of anywhere from 300 people, depending on obviously group size, through the escape room per school holidays. Age restrictions, not really. If there is younger kids, there is a lot more explaining done at the start on be careful with props, they are handmade, maybe a few more clues given so they understand a bit more on what they need to look for first. And then how many people per group? We say no more than 6, just because that's when we find stuff starts to get broken in the room because kids get bored. And also the room then becomes very crowded with the props in there as well. So generally around 4 people is quite a good group size, but we say up to 6.
Fantastic. Melanie, has that covered your question? Just a thumbs up or a jump online? Great. Okay, Chrissy's sharing that they use Humanitix and it's perfect for escape room bookings. So adding that one into the resource mix for us all. Julia's asking, how much time do you need for each session?
So we allow half an hour per group session. So obviously if they get out a little bit earlier, that's fine as well. And if they then take a little bit longer, we give a buffer of 15 minutes in between each session. So that just helps us reset the room, find everything we need to find, and also time for them to sort of have a little look around once they've finished or take a photo. But generally it's about half an hour.
Half an hour. Brilliant. Brilliant. If you were going to start again, both of you, what would be your 3 top tips that you would not do again?
One of the biggest things, I guess it's not necessarily not do again, but that we've learned from, I would say, is giving more information before you let people into the room. So originally we started with like the storyline and then just sort of like go for it. But now we give a lot more information, and obviously even more if it's younger families, but on about the props being handmade or if there's certain things that don't need to be moved. For example, our last jungle themed one, we had a whole lot of rocks in there that we really didn't want to have to move every time because they were big and they were heavy. So going in, we always said to them, look, there's no clues under the rocks or anything that they're holding down. You don't need to move those. But that's one of the biggest things probably is giving them that little bit of extra information going in. It also just makes the reset a lot easier as well. So that's one thing. I'll give one more and then Shori can think of something if I haven't already said it. The other one is when you're resetting when you're resetting a room, always check the padlocks. This is a big one. We quite often find now, more so than at the start, I don't know what's changed, but kids somehow work out how to reset the codes on the padlocks. So before you lock something again, like double check what the code is on it before you twist the padlock. We did at one stage have a disaster where we reshut the padlock and couldn't get back into the box, and we had to call the council parks team to come with bolt cutters because we needed the box and the clue in it. It wasn't a clue that we could remake easily. But yeah, also having a few spare padlocks on hand has been helpful just in case something breaks. But yeah, double checking the padlock before you relock it is a massive thing.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, I know.
I'm sure there's lots of things we've changed. It's hard to pinpoint, 3. I think just, with the general sort of kind of knowing what we're doing a little bit more than we did at the start, you just kind of have to just commit and say you're going to do it. And then, there's lots of things we've adjusted over the time, but really just jumping in there and doing your first one and committing to it and then going from there, I think is the best way of doing it. And learning along the way. It's tricky because each person or each room or each scenario is always going to have a different problem or difficulty, but I think testing it with staff or family is also a good way of loosening the kinks and figuring out what works and what doesn't work. We also put walkie-talkies in the room, which I don't think we talked about. So they really help if anyone's stuck. They can just walkie-talkie and ask for a clue. And no clues, that doesn't take off any time limit. So they feel like they can then ask clues without getting, penalties for that.
What a great idea.
They also get lollipops too at the end. When they escape, they all get a lollipop, so that helps as well.
Send them off on their sugar rush.
Yeah, that's right.
What's your budget for props?
Very little. I want to say nothing,
Yeah.
but we've got like a slight programs budget. So it's sort of across every program we use, including our escape rooms. As much as I probably shouldn't say it, Timu's our best friend for decorating. But yeah, we have next to no budget. So that's why
We make,
well, Shori makes a lot of the props, like from basic stuff that we can get relatively easily and buy in bulk, so it's cheap. But yeah, it's a very little budget that we have to split across everything for, like, we get an allocated amount for the whole year, and then we just have to make it work.
That's amazing. I imagine your toilet paper budget goes up significantly pre-holidays.
Yeah.
Put that down to operational, nothing to do with programming.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever had sponsorship?
No, we haven't.
no.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? You've been being told you're inspiring. I was just wondering, everyone who's in the webinar, if your library runs an escape room, could you pop your, I can see who everyone is, but could you put your library down? Because it would be quite nice to have a list of all the libraries operating escape rooms, if any resources come up on my radar that can be shared. Or if you're thinking of dipping your toes into them. I mean, obviously everyone in this room's interested, but I wouldn't want to bombard an inbox occasionally if you're not interested. So yeah, if you're interested in any other escape rooms or information or a hui like this, pop your name down. I've just about finished with my questions. I was really impressed with the way you've thought about copyright and the wriggle room you worked out around, especially stepping on the toes of a SpongeBob type organization, as opposed to and the weight that those organizations can throw around. So yeah, that's really impressive. Have you ever had any organization say that you're in breach or getting close to in breach of copyright with your themes?
No, we've never had it come up at all. No one's, not even public have said anything about it, but just something we try to keep in the back of our minds just in case.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, look, it looks like we've got quite a collection around the country of libraries who have run 1 or 2 or 3 or zombie nights. So yeah, that's kind of inspiring, from the bottom of the South Island in Invercargill all the way up to Auckland and above. So look, that's amazing. This session really came about by you both putting an abstract in for the LIANZA conference, and then me reading the abstracts and going, wow, this would make a great webinar. And last year when you presented at the LIANZA conference, I imagine nerves were quite high in a public setting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because we've chatted about this in our lead up to this hui. What would you say to people who are sitting on our webinar now with an idea that might be percolating, or something that they're doing at their library that think, oh, my idea is not big enough, or nobody will be interested, or it's too scary? Can you just share some words of wisdom and reassurance about how this process has been for you both?
I'd say it's definitely scary. Right up until we presented, we both had nerves, but it's definitely worth it as well. Just sharing your ideas of what you do, even though you think it might not be as popular, and it opens up like ways to connect with other librarians as well, in regards to what they run, or like, we didn't know how many libraries had actually run escape rooms before, because they'd just never crossed our radar, either not being in the area or us just not seeing the advertising. So I think it's definitely worth it, as scary as it might be, or as much as you think, oh, no one's going to want to do it. I would say it's definitely worth it, and just give it a go. You've got nothing to lose putting in an abstract. And yeah.
We didn't think they were going to accept ours. But so you just got to do it, really. And then once you've committed, it's the same thing as telling all the kids your theme of your next
you just
escape
have
room.
to do it.
You then have to do it. But it has been very rewarding and very cool meeting all the different people that we've come across that are just as excited about libraries and what they can offer to the community that is not just your traditional library. We all talk about libraries being community hubs now, and as more as like they're just happening more and more, and it's fantastic to see.
That's gorgeous. Thank you. Look, if anybody in this hui has got an idea that they'd like to share within the LIANZA Children's and Youth Services webinar series this year, please just send me an email, pd@lianza.org.nz, professional development PD, because we are curating a calendar for you about the things you're doing and want to extend on, or perhaps something that you're considering in your library dipping your toes into. Look, none of us are experts. We're all, trying 80% and then learning along the way, basically flying the plane without a license. But, we're all in that same boat together, or same plane. So, if you've got an idea and you want to share it with each other in this setting, it doesn't have to be a recorded webinar if that feels like too much pressure. And I can give you as much help around the coaching on Zoom and your slides as you'd like. So, just consider it. And if you want to have a chat, please let me know. I'm popping Thames Coromandel Library's website into the chat as a bit of a shout out to their What's On, like I mentioned at the beginning of the hui. If there are no other questions, I might close off with a karakia, so you will get a few extra minutes back in your day before the 3 o'clock rush. If there are any other questions, just put your hand up or jump online. Otherwise, I will close us all off. Just hold the silence for a second. No? All right. So Shori and Amy, thank you so much for your energy, your ideas, your creativity, and generously sharing your time, both at conference and here, and building on your story, even from when we connected the first time. You've added more texture and complexity to what you're doing. So I've learned a lot, and I'm sure everybody else has as well. So thank you both so much. If you're doing the MyCPD program, the new professional development, you will have points for this session, 3. So there we go. Shout out to everybody who's considering doing a presentation. There's, if you need 20 points in a year, 3 for doing a webinar. It's not a bad return on investment. I will share my screen for our closing karakia. Oops, no, you don't want to see my emails. I will move it across to here. Hopefully that is a better webinar, a better screen. Okay, feel free to join in if you would like. Unahia te pō whiri marama, tomo kia te ao whātu tangata. Tātai ki runga, tātai ki raro, tātai ahoro. Humie, huie, tākie. So from confusion comes understanding, from understanding comes unity. We're interwoven, we're interconnected, together as one. Kia ora, everybody. Thank you very much and have a great rest of your day. And we'll stop the recording. Oh, guys, that was amazing.